Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Sean from Worldwide Red Show. Listen, it's the Yank that you love to love, or many of you just don't like at all, which is fine. We're not here to make friends. We're here to support, in our way, the greatest football club in the freaking world, Manchester United. And again, it's me, coming all the way from the great state of Texas across the pond. Listen, guys, I want to get into some things today, just some things that's been on my mind because, our fan base has been, it's been crazy, turning kind of toxic, getting a little wild out there, especially along the manager. And many of you that follow me or friends with me or I stream with, I've had very strong opinions in regards to the manager for quite some time. And it seems that some folks can't wrap their mind around why they're a better fan than someone else or someone thinks differently than them, because most people live their life in some kind of echo chamber where everyone in the world thinks like them, looks like them, talks like them, does the things that they do. And here's the thing. A few lessons in life I've always lived by. One, if you're the smartest person in every room that you're in the wrong room. Two, if everyone around you thinks and feels and acts just like you are a limited person. And as a matter of fact, it's crazy because this, I've heard it labeled whether or not someone is a top red or not a top red. I've heard it called top red syndrome or top fan syndrome. We have this weird thing in our fan base where people have decided who is a proper and a real fan and who isn't. I have been labeled by some not a real fan for a while because I don't live close to the stadium. I don't get to go to a lot of games personally. So, I'm plastic, fake, glory hunter, go support City, whatever. I've heard all kinds of stuff over the years. But the amazing thing is some of this top fan syndrome and we're a better fan than you is actually crept into the fan base, even over here in America. So matter of fact, I was told in one of the groups I was in this week someone made a comment about how, I don't understand how people don't have the mental capacity to understand that a team like Manchester United, are being successful under this manager and talking about, where we sit in the league, that right now we're seventh and we're still in a good position and we're top of the Champions League group. These arguments are the same type of arguments that come from people that do not understand a simple word. It's called context. And saying someone else doesn't have the mental capacity to understand your argument doesn't make you any smarter at all. As a matter of fact, if you can't have a decent conversation with someone and use actual facts to back up where you feel instead of just your feelings, then guess what? Your argument doesn't get very far with me. If you can't have an argument or a discussion where you don't have to turn toxic, vile, or go at somebody personally or make it personal or insult them, then you, my friend, don't have much of an argument now, do you? That's just how people without an argument, they tend to make things personal or they get nasty or turn vile. And a lot of people get vulgar and, they want to cuss someone or tell someone to F off or do whatever because they can't think of any normal, regular way to explain themselves. So, they have to turn it that way. So for those of you that are that type of fan or need to feel the need to have someone explain why they feel the way they do, whether they're ollie in, ollie out, whatever, I'm glad you tuned into this stream because I'm going to do it today for a few moments, because this stream I'm going to look into for a few moments whether or not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the best or potentially becoming the worst manager that we've had since Sir Alex Ferguson. Now, some of you will shut me off right there because you're so in love with your opinion that you assume to know where I'm going with this. So just perhaps if I might make a case that you don't like, you're already out. Well, that's fine, because I'm not trying to deal with people that live in those types of fringes of absolutism anyway. So we're good. But ultimately, I want to take a moment and just share a little bit about, what I've seen over the last few years and how I've come to this place where I am today. And really, I want to talk about the good and the bad of what it's been to be a United fan over the last few years with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as our manager. So here's the thing. I don't care whether you agree with me or disagree with me. I'm not going to slate your opinion. It's welcome here. That's what Worldwide Red Show is all about. various fans of different opinions. You can jump in, share your thoughts, what you feel about the topic. But let's get into it. Let's look at Ollie's tenure real quick in a nutshell, and then I'm going to break down why even this season we are in a mess, no matter what the league standings say. When people are like, well, look where we finished the last few years, or look where we are right now, they're not taking context into account at all when they make statements like that. It's like watching, for example, one of my favorite players is Bruno Fernandes, but he's been bad quite often over the last year. There's been quite a few games where he hasn't played well, but he scores, right? He contributes a goal or an assist. Marcus is the same way. And because someone gets a goal or an assist, people pull up a stat and say, well, look how much they score, or look at this or that. And they don't take into context the overview of how the game actually played out, or their contribution to the other 87 minutes in the game when there was 3 minutes they played well. And we don't take that into consideration. There's reasons why certain players play well, don't play well. Sometimes it's system, sometimes it's tactics. So when you don't take these things into consideration, you find yourself on these fringes of an argument where you just want to use a certain stat or this or that. So let's get into it. So Ole came in to steady the ship, right? He came in, things got very toxic under Jose. When Ole came in, he was playing a free-flowing 4-3-3. Now, again, I look at the game a little different than some people because I've had to really learn this game because it wasn't the game I grew up playing. And I'm a coach by nature. I've coached many sports. I love to coach. And so I've really wanted to learn a lot about this game. I've taken licenses through the U.S. Soccer Federation and different things I've coached. And so I look at things a little different. So he came in playing a free-flowing 4-3-3. That's probably the best we've seen of Paul Pogba, which that's a topic for another day. I'm not going to get into Paul Pogba at all. But let's just say this, 4-3-3, free-flowing football. We played amazing, went on a good run. And it was almost like immediately once Ole got the job, he realized, oh, my goodness, I can't believe I actually got my dream job on the back of a CV or a resume that did not deserve a job of the stature of Manchester United, right? He just, he had been manager at Cardiff and gotten them relegated, from the Premier League. He went to Molde, which quite frankly, not being rude by saying this, I don't believe the Norwegian league is even MLS standard. But needless to say, he comes and he's doing a good job. And what he did, he put a smile on people's face. The song started, Ollie's at the wheel, and that really began to shift the culture of the organization again, and that was a good thing. As soon as Ole gets the job, he switches from that 4-3-3 to a 4-2-3-1 and became a very pragmatic and defensive coach. And you don't have to like it. People say Ole didn't have any style. Actually, last year especially, we did have a style, a very pragmatic defensive style of counter-attacking play. So to say he had no style is just not accurate. You're just throwing that out there. He did have a style. So we went from this 4-3-3 to 4-2-3-1. And at the end of that first season, I believe we finished around sixth or seventh. His second season, first full season in charge. If you remember, before Christmas, there were people saying he's not the guy. We've had this consistent inconsistency under his tenure where we're good and then we're bad and then we're good and then we're bad and then we're really good a few games, then we're really terrible a few games. And this has been something that's happened every season since he's been in charge. And this is why a lot of people did not want him to remain manager, because our goal is to win the league. And you'll never win the Premier League being an inconsistent team. You can have a purple patch here and there that gets bad, but if you're consistently inconsistent, it creates a problem. And in that first season, if you remember, the last day of the season, we could have ended up 5th or 3rd. Results went our way. We ended up 3rd. Last season, a COVID season. Now, remember, the first season where we finished 3rd, COVID happened. We were well off the pace, and we brought in Bruno Fernandes. When we did, it changed the culture of the team. We went on a great run. Bruno Fernandes basically kept Ole in a job. I don't know if you guys remember this or not because you're living in the moment, but he kept him in the job. And all of a sudden, we ended up 3rd, when quite frankly, that flattered us. Then last season, let's take into context the season where we played some horrendous football many times. The way we went out of the Champions League, a lot of big clubs would sack a manager for that, right? I'll get into some of the losses we've had over the last few years as well for you that need context about why some of us feel the way that we do about the manager, looking at his overall tenure. Then we had the debacle that was the Europa League final last year. We all I've tried to forget that, hopefully. The management in that final was horrendous. Once again, the same thing we've seen over and over and over again. We've lost multiple semifinals. The semifinal against City 2 years ago was the one that was the one that really done my head in, because the same mistakes that we're making now, we were making then, because we have not progressed when it comes to the coaching. And that's not Ollie's fault, because Ollie's even said he doesn't take, the training, that this is his coaches. But yet people want to compare Ollie to Sir Alex. It doesn't do him any favors, because Sir Alex constantly, when necessary, changed his coaching staff and he focused on the management. Ollie hasn't done that, and it's really cost him big time. So here's the thing. Last season, we had how many games? 9 games or more of 0-0. People were talking about the football last year, how abysmal it was. We had more 0-0s last year than we did under Louis Van Gaal, where everyone said we were just completely boring and didn't want to watch it. Last season, we got so boring at one point, I'll never forget, I was falling asleep in matches. We went, I believe it was 238 minutes, somewhere along that line, almost 2.5 entire games without Manchester United Football Club creating one big chance. This is not reactionary syndrome of where we are, right? Well, why did we finish second then? Simple. It was a COVID year. Chelsea, let's be honest with ourselves. If Chelsea would have sacked Lampard sooner, who is a bigger legend in his club than Ole is at ours, by the way, if they would have sacked him sooner, they would have finished ahead of us. Liverpool had a bare bones squad last year. Their best player, in my opinion, who Salah is this year, but until then it's been Virgil van Dijk, has really been the thing that solidified that club. He was out almost the entire season. You had a midfield that was devastated. Their back line, they lost almost all their defense. If they were healthy all season, there's no way, the way that we played last season, that we're finishing above them. So when pundits and people were saying Manchester United second, which, by the way, our third and our second, at no point have we, at the end of a season, have we been anywhere close to the title. No point in the last few seasons we've been anywhere close to the title. And if winning the title is the aim, here's the thing about this video I want you guys to know. This is not personal as well. Like, I love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I loved him as a player, and I wanted him to do well. He was not my first choice. Even when he got the job, I got to be honest, I was biased. I didn't want him to get the job. We're not getting into that part. But let's look at some of the things that's happened over the last few years, and you determine whether or not you feel, because some people feel Ole is the best they've had since. Some people are now saying he's the worst. And I'm just putting the case out for why people feel the way they do over the last few seasons. But before we get into those, let's talk about this season real quick. Because someone was telling me, oh, we're in 7th, and oh, we're sitting top of our Champions League group, and all right, not taking it into context. If Manchester United had to finish every game this year in the 88th minute, we would only have 2 wins. So let's look down. Let me pull up real quick our games this season, because to be honest with you, we've only played I would say maybe four halves of good football the entire season, maybe 4. You have the Leeds game, which really shouldn't count because it's Leeds, and the way they play, they're just wide open and anyone can play against them. And we always look great against them. We always slap the Scummers, right? So it really shouldn't count, but we'll count it. You had the Leeds game. You had the second half against Newcastle, which became the Ronaldo game, his first game in, if you remember that one. You had the first half against Everton. I felt we played well. But really, beside that, let's go through the fixtures real quick of what's happened this season at Manchester United with our games. Let's see where we're at here. Let's see, matches. Let's see where we've been. Okay, so we have our first game, Leeds, we slapped them, right? Played well there. Southampton, we stole that draw. Didn't play well, stole a draw, thankfully. Wolves, absolute smash and grab, stole that game, had no business winning, right? We played horrible. Wolves at times battered us in that game, and we won. We still wasn't playing good. The Newcastle game I mentioned. Let's get into the Champions League. First Champions League game. Young boys, right? Young boys. We lost to Young Boys. And I'm laughing at myself right now. We lost to a team called Young boys. Then West Ham, right? We had the West Ham game, the Jesse Lingard game. I mean, West Ham played better than us most of the game. However, at the end, Jesse rocks up, does his thing. We get a late goal again and win. West Ham in the cup, we lose. Then we have Villa at home, loss. Then we have Villarreal in the Champions League. Again, battered in the first half against Villarreal. Battered in the first half. If not for David De Gea, we would have been down 3 or 4-0. I mean, really, really were being beat by Villarreal. It was embarrassing. Second half, we get a late winner from Ronaldo. We'll take it. Happy days. We thought we were going down, losing our first 2 games in the champs, but we won 1, lost 1, right? Then we have Everton. We get a draw. Already spoke of that game. Leicester City, we get punished 4-2. Wasn't pretty. Played horribly. Then we have Atalanta in the Champions League. First half, one of the worst halves I'd seen in a long time. We're down 2-0, getting absolutely destroyed on our home pitch. Paul Scholes gets on TV and says, if you play that way against Liverpool, you're going to hate your life because they're going to ruin you, right? He said it publicly. Second half of Atalanta, what happened? Bruno Fernandes, amazing moment of brilliance, amazing pass to put Marcus Rashford through. We get within 1. We know it's game on. Second goal, completely fluky goal. Ball comes in. Defender does not clear it. Sounds awfully familiar because normally it's us doing that. But the ball falls to, of all people, Harry Maguire, and he ties the match at 2. And then it was just a moment of time before Ronaldo winner. So should we have won that game? Probably not, but we'll take it. So we're sitting top of the Champions League group on 3 matches that we played bad, but results went our way. That's football. Like, people don't take into context. We have not played well all season long, but a few times. Then the thing that still, honestly, I'm still struggling with Sunday. Sunday was an absolute disaster. How in the world we lose, not just that we lost 5-0, because the 5-0 was one thing, right? Because that's horrible to lose to Liverpool, to lose to the Dippers at home like that is horrible. But to get slapped 4 in the first half, watch this, and this goes back to one of the problems with Ollie that a lot of people can't seem to get. He did not change from the same team that was losing 2-0 to Atalanta. He put the same team on the pitch against Liverpool, and we were down 4-0 at halftime. Like, really? That's enough that any Manchester United manager should really be on the hot seat, if not gone for that. I mean, probably walk yourself, because that is terrible. Now, again, if I was Ollie, I wouldn't leave myself either, because he's got about 7.5 million reasons why he doesn't want to just walk. He's going to get the sack. That's the way it goes. And so, big up, Tom. Good to see you in chat there. I was actually looking for someone to put on this stream toward the end, Tom, to explain to me the great things that Ollie has done, if I miss any. But I know you're probably not the guy for that, Tom, because I know where you stand. So I might, I'm going to put a link up later just in case you want to jump in. But anyway, guys, listen. So after the game, it wasn't just that we lost to Liverpool. It was the manner in which we lost, right? So we have a situation where we have absolutely been battered at home by our for me, as a United fan, the team I dislike the most. And we're losing to them in that manner. And the point is, after 5, you could tell at about the 60th minute, they took their foot off the gas. And you know what? That hurt me more. I would have rather them stayed rock and roll footballing us and scored 10. To stop the way that they did was like, and then listen to their fans singing Ollie's at the wheel, taking the mick out of us. That was worse. Hearing that was worse. So anyway, let's talk about Ollie's tenure so far. We talked about how he got the job. We know he got the job. We know that first season under him, we finished 3rd. Again, that was kind of a iffy position. If it not for Bruno, there's no way we would have gotten 3rd. Then we had last year, COVID year. If not for the oddity that was COVID and how that ran down, there's no way we get second. Both seasons were nowhere close to a title. And then you have this season where we're sitting, seventh in the league, and people are saying, well, we're still in a competitive position. Okay, we are nowhere close to being in a competitive position. We are under this management, there is no way. We are already out of the title race because we were getting bad results against weak teams. And now that we're playing the better teams, we're already being slapped. We've already been slapped by Leicester. We've already been slapped by Liverpool. We have City to come, which hopefully, because it's a derby, we can do something there. Then we haven't even played Arsenal. And before y'all banner Arsenal, they're liable to be ahead of us when we play them. And I don't know if Ole has beaten Arteta yet, because the style of football that Arsenal play is not conducive to our style under Ole, because whether you like it or not, we do not play attacking football. We like to play a defensive style, counter-attacking football. That's what we've done best under this management. But let's just look over the last few years. People say, well, when was you see, I've never been like, when people say Ole out, I hate to say, okay, I'm an Ole outer, because there's certain fringes of the Ole out movement that can be real, toxic and crazy and wild. The same way there are people that people label Ole sexuals are just as bad. Now listen, I banter, I take the mick, I mess around. I call Ole man like tidy cats because he's got 9 lives. I've called him la cucaracha in Spanish, like the cockroach, messing around because the guy just won't go away. I mean, nuclear war could happen, and this guy is not going to not be Manchester United manager no matter what kind of bomb he drops on the club. I'm talking 5-0 against Liverpool, and you're still in the job? Come on, bro. That's crazy. But let's look at some of the horrible losses that's really give me some pause. That's created some issues. Okay, so we had Burnley before lockdown was one that really did my head in. That was one where I was like, okay, I'm done with this. But let's look at we've lost to Cardiff City. We've had horrible loss to Newcastle. You remember the 4-0 against Everton, where Ole came out after the 4-0 and said, listen, I've made my career scoring big goals. There are people that won't be here. I'm going to be successful here. And we haven't seen that success. We've seen them get rid of some players. I get that. But, you remember that terrible loss again. Last year, you realize we lost to a team called like Başakşehir, who got relegated from the Turkish league, and they beat us in the Champions League. So I don't get where people act like, oh, y'all are just reactionary, wanting the manager out. You're reactionary fans. And no, we take context in the situation, and we have pride. We have pride in this badge, and we love this badge, and we love this club, and we know what it should be and could be and has been, right? We know. And a lot of us, like my age, okay, I get it. I am entitled because I came into the game into the 90s. So I am entitled. I am an entitled Manchester United fan. I've watched us under the greatest manager of all time. I've watched us win everything. I've watched us have a standard. I've watched us have a style. Now, this United DNA stuff, I'll get into that more in a minute as well. But here's the thing. I've watched horrible decisions by this manager tactically. We've been having these same discussions for 2.5 seasons. This is not something new. The lack of proper substitutions, right? Substitutions that are tactical, that change the game. Many times we don't see those subs happening, and it gets very frustrating because this is not the first time that we've even talked about this. It's happened over and over and over. But here's the thing, he's literally waited in games till the 100th minute to make a sub. And this isn't a final, guys, a final that we should win, and we lose. And it's like we defend it. People have defended it. But man, many of us have lost our head because, like I've said before, when your heart's broke, your head don't work. Many of us are so broken, we can't deal with this thing anymore. Like we literally can't. We've been so inconsistent under this manager, right? So inconsistent that we're never going to win the league with this type of inconsistency. And it's not personal. It's not that people just don't like the manager and don't like Ole, or we want to be right. I want to toot my horn and say, look, I've been right about this guy all along. It's not even about that. We want to win. We don't want to be constantly a banner club. We don't like the fact that our biggest rival are slapping us up on our own pitch, right? You cannot be this streaky. Why are we still talking about styles of play after 3 seasons? This is really 3 seasons. We're still talking about styles of play. And so what I wanted to say today, and I'm gonna bring in the guest I have in the back real quick because I'm gonna let him do his thing and go crazy. But here's the thing: Ollie the best or becoming the worst manager since we've had Sir Alex Ferguson? Because here's the thing: for me, when I think of best, I think of success. For me, success is winning. So people can say what they want about Louis Van Gaal, but he won a trophy. You can say what you want about Jose because it got crap under Jose and he needed to go. But Jose got that Europa League that we can't seem to win right now, and he won a cup, right? Jose counts 3. I think he even counted a Community Shield. He got 2.5 trophies. Jose is shameless, He don't play. But here we are, 3 years into the situation, nothing to show for it, right? So for me, what did he say? I hear this stuff about man management, youth, courage, and success. That's all these words. So my question, youth, who's he brought through? And don't say Mason because he don't count, because anyone would have brought through Mason, right? Mason was coming through under Jose. I was hearing Stephen Howson talk about Mason Greenwood 5 years ago. So we can't just throw Mason out there. If you want to, go ahead. But he was coming through anyway. Who else? Oh, he's given tons of debuts. He could give me a debut. Who cares? Doesn't mean you're coming through, right? Who's he tried to bring through? Brandon Williams. Bruh. Come on, man. That's he hasn't been playing youth. He don't want to because he knows his job's been on the line and he's stuck with the same stuff. Courage? How is it courage to play the same dead midfield for over 2 seasons that is not even a top 12 midfield in the league? Right? Not even top 12. I don't care. Don't at me. Don't say it's not. I'm not going through the names. It's not even a top 12 midfield in the league, but he refuses to change. And this has created a lot of problems. Success. What do we want? I don't know. So listen, I'm going to get out the way. I got a guest in the back. And again, for you that have been watching and don't understand context, again, I've wanted to be successful under this manager. People are saying, well, if you're Ollie out, if you've been Ollie out, then you don't support the club properly. No, that stuff is nonsense. The fact is, the Glazers are the biggest problem in this club. They're not going anywhere. We are a cash cow. They are not going anywhere. If they did not sell to the Saudis, they aren't selling. Who else can afford Manchester United? There ain't many people. They didn't sell to them. They're not selling. The fact is we're stuck with these jokers. But the fact is we still spend money under them. We just can't spend it well because our structure is terrible. We have no real director of football, and we're a mess. So it is what it is. Are we any better off structurally as a club now that Ollie's here than before he came? I don't know. You tell me. Anyway, listen, the often imitated, never duplicated, Mr. Usman himself is in the building. Hey, fam.
Yes, sure. Spitting facts, my guy. I'm not going to lie. I thought you started at 5, so I've been sat twiddling my thumbs for the last 10 minutes. I could have come on ages ago. Oh, my days. So my mistake. I thought you said you started at 5. But listen, first things first. Make sure you slap a like and subscribe to my homie here with Spitting Facts. He's got the studio ready for you beautiful people. So you need to now support the content, man. Sean, how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing well. I just wanted to get into this comment, this thing has been going around in my head about, I hear a lot of fans say all these, give him respect and give him this and that. Listen, I'm all for respect, but one thing that annoys me even about the respect thing is that it's funny how fans will dog each other out, call you all this and that, say this and that, but now that they realize that what people have been saying has been right all along, now they're demanding you respect the manager on the way out the door, but they don't offer respect to other people online. I find that strange to me, bro. It kind of annoys me. But the thing is, we've been talking about whether or not Ollie is, I've been saying, is he becoming, like, let's look at what he's done since he's been here. People have always said he's the best manager we've had since Fergie, but as the club, I believe, are hanging him out to dry right now. Is he in danger of becoming the worst? Because he hasn't won anything. So, I mean, just your thoughts real quick. If you had to summarize the overall tenure of Ollie to where real quick, bro, what got you to this point now where, I know you are Ollie out. I mean, I think anyone that watches Usman, By the way, shout out Usman Talks United. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do. Listen, everyone knows where you stand, but how you wasn't always this way. So what got you to this point, and how do you view his tenure overall?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. Like, firstly, for me, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has shot himself in the foot. I mean, I think he did a lot of good things at Manchester United. I mean, there was that obviously the most noticeable period when he wasn't actually the manager; he was the interim. Of course, we were flying at that point. When he became manager, I'd probably say the most noticeable point was post lockdown, where we had that period when Pogba, Matic, and Bruno Fernandes was the midfield three. I think for me at that point, as a Manchester United fan, watching us play, I was happy with Ali. I mean, I know that wasn't that long ago, but I was happy. I thought, you know, he was onto something. He was starting to build something, and I felt at that point the issue was kind of out of his hand. It was like you take off Pogba, you take off a Bruno Fernandes when we're 3-0 up, and the sort of the gap from, you know, or the quality difference was evident. You know, the likes of Pereira would get subbed on, Fred would get subbed on, and it was quite clear that there was a massive sort of disparity in quality between Pogba, Bruno, and it still is obviously, but I felt like that was a major issue at that point. You know, we didn't have squad depth, we didn't have options off the bench, we didn't have people coming on and making an impact. And that moment, I wasn't blaming Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I felt like the board was letting him down. I felt like the board didn't really give him the, you know, the sufficient backing that you'd expect at Manchester United Football Club, similar to what happened under Jose Mourinho. But then the signings came through, the likes of the Maguires, the likes of the Wan-Bissaka. Obviously, I'm sure we can get into, you know, if they've been successful or not. But the money was spent, you know, the money was put down on them two in particular. You know, it massively improved the team. And I just think since that moment, he spent a lot of money on Ahmad, Palestri, Van der Beek, as we know. I mean, he spent so much money after that period. I felt like up until that period, I was all in. Like post-lockdown, I was enjoying, I wouldn't say I was overly enjoying the football, but I felt like the things that were going wrong were out of his hand and they were in the Glazers' hands. And since then, the Glazers are somewhat back to him in terms of they're giving him the players, and it's come to a point now that he's got absolutely no excuse. I know a lot of people will say the CDM thing is still an issue, but for me personally, if you're a manager of a football club and you desperately want a DM, you make that be known. Like, you make that very clear. And for me, he's kind of just gone against what he did so well, which was the Matic, Pogba, and Bruno midfield. That was successful. I know a lot of people say, well, Pogba and Bruno can't play together. I mean, I just found that lazy. I found that so lazy.
They played pretty well together at first, right?
I mean, they had a 10-game period, and I know that's not a huge sort of, you know, information, like to go off like a source of information, so to speak. But a 10-game period is still long enough, given the fact that as a combination, was it successful? We know from McFred within 3 games it's not a successful combination. So in that 10-game period, we basically lost like 1 game, if I'm not mistaken. If not, I think we might have been undefeated. I know I don't want to go into we've been undefeated, etc., etc. But we was actually playing well. We was dominating teams, and as I said, that they would get substituted off 3-0 up, get substituted off every single one of those games after the 55th minute, 60th minute. And for me personally, that's on Oli. Oli had the winning formula in his hands, and he threw it away. The Martial and the Rashford thing, it was working. The Martial and Rashford thing was working. They were playing in unison. They were playing as almost like a front two. A lot of people, and this is what I hate about football fans, a lot of people were saying, we got Dwight York and Andy Cole back.
Yeah, remember when Martial scored all those goals? You couldn't.
Yeah, exactly.
People wouldn't stop talking about him.
Oh, look, Dwight York and Andy Cole. But then, obviously, Martial fell off a cliff, so to speak. But people forgot what he brought to the team, and I feel like Oli did that. Oli forgot as well. Like, Martial was so fantastic at holding the ball, bringing other players into the game, and it seemed like every time he played him afterwards, he made him play a different role. And I think that's where Oli's gone wrong for me. He's kind of gone against the things that went well for him, like the midfield three, the individual players, you know, their strengths. And he's kind of just completely scrapped it and just basically thought, no, I'm just going to play my favourite players here and there. It doesn't matter if they drop a 1 out of 10, they'll play week in, week out. And that's not how football works. Yeah. You know, initially players were playing on merit, you know, players were playing for the badge or your passion, whatever you want to call it. But players were playing as a team. And you saw that for a period of time when we finished second. You know, players are working together. You saw when we was at top of the table in January for that 2-week spell, that the team camaraderie, it was a positive. Everyone was embracing Bailly on the pitch. And for whatever reason, Oli went away from that. He stopped looking after the squad. All he cared about was his favourites, and I think that's where Oli's fallen flat. And
Yeah, I think that really does into the myth. There's been this. I've always said it was kind of a myth of all these amazing man management, because it seems to me that, like anywhere in life, I don't blame Ollie for this. People have their favorites, but when you see the leaks coming out now and you're reading it in the media, the leaks that players had meetings and talked with Ollie in these crisis talks, and they said, look, you've played favorites, you've put Maguire as captain when the dude wasn't even captain at daggone Leicester City. He comes in and gets the armband without earning it. There's been a lot of things that Ollie has done that are questionable. I'll tell you what, when Ollie got up, was it last week, and at the beginning of the press conference with Marcus, he started by setting the record straight. That was a red flag to me. There's been tons of them anyway. I couldn't see Sir Alex doing that. Right, I couldn't see a real strong manager, because all he said, what he said, we all heard him say basically, he needs to focus on his football. You could say it's out of context or whatever, but why did he need to try to clarify it? I'll tell you why. Because there's multiple players in that team, Marcus Rashford being one of them, whose player power is greater than the manager. His commercial power now, with all that he's done off the field, is more important than what the manager brings. Cristiano's another one. Bringing in Cristiano to that mix, with Ollie not being a strong manager, you watch Cristiano, I don't know if you saw the video, he's out here on the field like,
and it's completely taking the piss.
Oh, it's crazy. I could not believe that. Then you have, of course, Paul Pogba, who, whether people like it or not, his manager, his agent has said things that, a lot of strong managers wouldn't tolerate. They'll just be like, look, man, piss off, see ya. And whether you like it or not, the agent's just doing his job, right? I don't begrudge him for what he's done at all. He's not there to serve Manchester United. He doesn't love the club like us. He's there to do what he feels is best for his client. That's a fiduciary for people that have not went to school at all. That's his job, is to work for Paul Pogba. Here's the thing, Usman, I just feel like the club, in some ways, by not acting swiftly last year, I felt like how we went out of the Champions League was embarrassing, into the Europa. That's when there should have been a change. They had someone lined up and they didn't have the guts to do it. And then they lost out on that candidate. And now that candidate's tainted. And we've talked about this, the idea of them holding on for another few months because they want to go back to that Poch route, which for me, I was a huge Poch fan. Not as much anymore, but not because of what he's done at PSG or hasn't done yet. He's going to win the league there. It is what it is. It's not about that. It's about how he fit in the moment. And I don't feel the same fit exists anymore. So don't get me wrong, he's better than Ollie, but that isn't saying much right now. At the end of the day, I think that's probably what they're doing. I think they're so incompetent that they literally didn't have a plan B. So when they should have absolutely got rid of Ollie, now they're hanging him out to dry. They're saying, well, we're giving him 3 games to save his job. He doesn't, not to be rude, I'm just saying this factually as a businessman, he hasn't done anything to earn those three extra games. He should have been gone last season. After the end of the Europa League final, the way we lost, as embarrassing as that was, the end-game management, it should have been a change then. So the board is to blame for where we are now, the toxicity of the fans, the fact that there are some people that Ollie could run up and slap their mother and punch their kitten, and they wouldn't care. Like they wouldn't care because he's at the wheel and they love him. And for some fans, they think that just blindly backing everything the club does makes you a real fan. No, what that does is make you a Glazer puppet. That's what it makes you. The fact that you just go and sing when everything is crap and then criticize people that call it crap. You're just a puppet to the Glazers. You're exactly why they've kept Ollie, because they can be as crap as they want to be, and you're not going to kick up a fuss. And when you do kick up a fuss and you're about to get real change done, all they need to do is go buy somebody, and you're happy they're backing your guy, and then you stop protesting, right? That's basically what we've seen happen at this club. The Glazers are taking the piss, and they don't care, because in the biggest game of the season, they're not even there. Ed's not even there. They're over in the Middle East trying to buy a cricket club. That's what they're doing. They're not paying it. They don't care. And so the fact is, at this point, I say this with all due respect, to everyone watching. My opinion is if you still back Ollie, I get that you love him because we love him, but if you still back him as manager, then you're a Glazer. You're Glazers in because the only reason he's there is because of the Glazers and the fact that he's a good shield to them. He's a yes man and whatever. So back to the whole, even the whole Poch thing. They wanted him initially because of some things, but if you remember what Poch's job at Tottenham was, he finally had a little bit of success and he became Billy Big Bollocks and he called out Levy and was like, they don't back me, whatever. I'm just a coach. And Levy's like, well, bye. So Poch, the worst thing that can happen for me is for Poch not to win anything at PSG, get sacked, and then bring him in. The only way it works with a guy like him is he has to win something there, and then we bring him in to where he feels like he's the man, because then he'll kick up a fuss. If not, he'll just fall in line and be just a better version of Ollie, in my opinion, just better on the pitch, but off the pitch, kind of the same type of thing. But when it comes to what Ollie has done or not done, what are some things, Usman, that just to defend Ollie a little bit, because it hasn't all been bad. I know you said you had a good period, but for me, one of the things I felt he tried to do, and I personally believe that Ollie did everything in his power to remove all of the dead wood that he could. Right? Phil Jones he's I don't know what's going on with this guy. You'll never get rid of him, but Ollie getting rid of Fellaini immediately, right, was like what I love that, right? When he did that, it really,
I mean, when he came.
Let me ask you a question, Usman. Do you agree with this statement put up by some guy named Jerry? Did you agree with that? After last season, after the Champions League debacle, after Istanbul, Başakşehir, after abysmal football, 238 straight minutes of no big chances, right? How many 0-0s? Like, you would get a trophy for that. We haven't lost on the road. There's no trophy for not losing on the road. And by the way, all these people that we didn't lose on the road, City had more road points than we did, and they did lose on the road. So so 9 draws, bro. I remember everyone saying Louis Van Gaal, all these draws, is pathetic. We had 9. We had, I think, more 0-0s, 9 0-0s. If you had 4 of those games that you went for it, if you won 4 and lost 5, you still had 3 more points. The maths ain't mathing with these people all excited about the 0-0s last year. So, Jerry's in here showing himself a little bit. So I'm gonna let you deal with Jerry.
Yeah, I mean, Jerry's trying to wind this up in there. Obviously, I know he is, surely. Look, you've covered a lot. I just want to quickly touch upon the Glazers firstly, and obviously regarding that sort of situation. I agree with this comment about Eddie's pub. But regarding the Glazers firstly, right, the way they've dealt with this week for me screams out as disorganized. I mean, as you quite rightly said, you lose 5-0 to your biggest rivals. That should be the end of it. You should have got sacked. As soon as the whistle went, you should have got called in, or even if they're in wherever they were to buy those cricket clubs, they should have rang you and said, look, we can't continue with this. Regardless of what Fergie says, respectfully, your job is untenable. It's as simple as that. I mean, it's quite clear that you're out of your depth. Yada yada. We know the script. I mean, that's what should have happened. Of course, we knew that wouldn't happen. In fact, actually, I was very hopeful that it would happen because I thought my brain couldn't comprehend a scenario where losing 5-0 doesn't get you sacked, basically. So I even thought, even for the Glazers, this has got to be the final straw. But lo and behold, the surprises once again. But the whole week basically screamed that to me as we're unprepared. We're basically dilly-dallying, wasting time, basically trying to delay it as much as we possibly can. And then we're going to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. However, this whole 3 games to save your job nonsense, I mean, in their head, it's a win-win, basically. They've given Ole those 3 games. If he turns it around and does well, they say, oh, we were right to be loyal and have hope. If he doesn't do well, they'll potentially sack him. And in their head, they'll say, oh, well, we thought we'd give him a chance, etc., etc. So it's a bit of a cop-out, really, basically. They haven't got anyone lined up. They don't want to rush into Conte, which I agree with to an extent. But for me, personally, I would have sacked him and gone interim for 2 games, potentially the 3 games, whatever it is, to get to the international break. I just don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer deserves that time. He's had 3 years. He's not covered himself in glory for large parts, as we both know, and he quite clearly has shown that he's not capable of producing the goods. So for me, they should have sacked him and got an interim. However, they thought, let's delay it because we need to negotiate with Conte. We don't want to rush into Conte. Is he the right man, etc., etc. But fast forward, coming on to what Jerry said, does Ole deserve the contract in his opinion? I'm sorry, the ability to see out the season. In his opinion, he does. Well, right. First things first, right? I think those kind of comments are understandable. However, I think you got to bear everything in context. If Ole's to lose 7 games in a row, of course he doesn't deserve to see out the contract. Of course he doesn't deserve to wait until the end of the season because it's quite clearly he's not meeting the minimum requirements, which is the top 4 spot. And of course, you can't lose top 4 in November, December. You potentially can, but realistically speaking, unless it's mathematically impossible, he should see out the season, as these guys with low mentality would say. But for me personally, man, we've lost 6 games in 11 now if we lose to Spurs. So I believe it's 5 and 10. As it currently stands, one of those games was against Villarreal, which, Cristiano Ronaldo basically saved in the last minute. So I'm going to count that as a loss, but obviously people say I'm biased, but I was at the
Bro, I don't know if you heard what I said earlier, but if we were ending games at 88 minutes this year, we would only have 2 wins.
I mean, there you go. And
they were smash and grabs. Wolves smash and grab.
There was a lot of smash and grab.
Villarreal, we shouldn't have won that game. We could have been down how many? Atalanta, that second half was an aberration at best. I mean, it isn't like we played tactically amazing to get back in it. It was like Bruno, great pass. How in the world Harry Maguire ends up on the end of a cross with his feet. And then the Ronaldo is inevitable. But we acted, just league position, as I explained about last season, doesn't always tell the story like what you said earlier.
This is the thing, right? So basically, regarding the Ole deserves, the reason people say, hi, Rich, hopefully you do well. The reason people saying Ole deserved the season was because of the progress notion. I said to Jerry, and I said to whoever else was on the stream, obviously I do a lot of streams with Jerry, so of course I know he was there. I said to Jerry, that second position was a false position. I gave my reasons and everything I've said. I don't want to be that guy, but everything I said is proven as fact. I said we should have not been second. The only reason we were second was because Liverpool fell off a cliff and it still finished a couple of points behind us, and because Chelsea had to sack a manager mid-season.
Facts. I said that at the beginning of the stream. When
both of them teams are, fit and fine, I've got to be honest, I did put us above Liverpool this season in my predictions, so I don't want to try and contradict myself, but I did say that when Liverpool get the full team fit, they're going to be a different animal. So it's going to be a different test for us. Same with Chelsea. Obviously, we know Man City are going to be there. And lo and behold, we're not even in the title race. Apparently, we were meant to be in the top 4. Them 3 have completely dusted us already. One of them has slapped us. And we could not be any further away from challenging even, let alone even winning the title. I'm talking about the bare minimum, which is challenging for a title. There's no way Man United could spend almost $500 million and still be talking about a top 4. So for me personally, Jerry, to answer your question, it's quite evident that we are not going to be challenging this season under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
I've been told that we're in 7th. That's a competitive position. I'm like, exactly. For what? The Europa League?
We're 8 points off first. If we lose to Spurs, we're 11
1 and 12. 1 point and 12.
Exactly. So for me, does he deserve to the end of the season? Absolutely not, because he's shown already in the first 9 games in the league that he's quite clearly not for the task. So why waste time? Why waste another season of Manchester United fans' lives having to deal with absolute mediocrity because the club have absolutely zero standards? So, yeah, for
that's
me,
it. And that's the thing. This is what I try to explain to people. Our standards are in the mud. So when people are like, well, I don't understand how you could not back this manager or this or that, my point was that, look, I've not just decided this year that I didn't think Ole was the guy. I just haven't, actually, I see Rich in the comments. Probably since the beginning of last season, I was on Rich's channel explaining to people why, because people are like, you need to back the manager and this and that, why I didn't feel like he was the guy. It was never personal. The best thing for Manchester United, the best thing for us as fans, the best thing for me will be for Ole to really have become Sir Alex, right? That we're winning all this stuff. I mean, the nostalgia, the glory, seeing Ole lift the trophy, that would have been amazing. But it was painfully obvious over 2 seasons ago, it wasn't happening. But when you talked about it, people, because their heartstrings are in it, right? Because they're loyal to Ollie.
The issue is, right, Sean, obviously what you're saying is factual, but the issue is people were just looking at it as it's black and white. Football is not black and white.
No.
People are saying, well, he finished third, now he's finished second, therefore his progress. Oh, he's got it to the semi-final, now he's in the final, his progress. Football does not work like that. There's a lot of different facets that obviously affect the overall outcome of a season. And I'm not saying that we got lucky to be second, and I never want to be that guy, because of course you obviously wherever you are at the end of the season, you deserve that, and we deserve to be second. Are we the second best team in the league? Absolutely not. And it was quite clear what the reasons were for us being second. I think that's what fell short on a lot of people, because it was a bit deluded. I'm not going to lie. The fact that people were just sat there and saying, oh, we finished second, we're better than Liverpool. I mean, the team that just won the league the season prior and the Champions League prior to that, we've never been close to either of them awards. So for me, that is the reason why we have been suffering. And what you said regarding the people that are Ollie in, I mean, they're part of the problem, because they're the reason that the board have kept up with this mediocrity, because the standards of the football club and the fans in particular has been lowered so much at post Fergie. I mean, they accept this. Like, look at Barcelona, the sack Koeman, Ronald Koeman, and obviously, you know, it was inevitable that he was in it.
I'm pretty sure he scored a pretty legendary goal for them as well.
I mean, he has. He's a legendary player for them as well. Obviously, one of their greatest of all time, etc. But I mean,
and they're making listen, I don't care how good Xavi is. If they appoint him, I'm thinking he could be amazing, but you're still asking for it, because if it don't go right, man, I've just walked. I never want to see a former player.
I mean, I really hope it. I've liked what Xavi's done in Qatar, but
yeah.
I
don't want another one in Manchester United. Zidane is different because he wasn't our player. You know?
Yeah, but that's the thing, Sean. Everyone's just looking at it with blinkers on it. You know what I mean? People want to believe there's progress, and when it was quite evident that there was still no style of play, there was still no direct patterns of football. You know, the bare basics of a coaching team. There was still no pressing. I mean, this notion that we pressed before Cristiano Ronaldo is the biggest myth I've seen in my entire life. Like, we did not press prior to Cristiano Ronaldo's arrival. I'm sick and tired of seeing people who are with lazy opinions saying the same shit because they know it's a popular opinion and it'll get them clicks. Wow. Cristiano Ronaldo has not affected the way Man United play as significantly as people make it out to be. We were shit prior to his arrival.
Yeah. Bruno pressed by himself, exposing the entire midfield while he's pressing the daggone goalkeeper.
But I would love to see the stats of how many times we won the ball high up the pitch in last season compared to this season, because I can guarantee
we played on the counter last year.
Exactly. It's not going to be as significant as the difference of people making out to be. But listen, Sean, I need to bounce, as you know, I have another show. But
everyone knows where to find Usman. If you don't, go to Usman Talks United, man. Yes, bro.
But listen, just want to say before I go, please, make sure you slap a like on this good man's channel. He's an absolute legend. He's basically a brother from across the pond. The Yankee you love to love. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Show him love, man. He's an absolute legend. He's a real one. And obviously, he's got the studio now, as I said before I came on. So he will be posting consistent content. So please show him love. But Sean, thank you. We need to do a proper show on your channel very soon. Hopefully, we'll sort time out. But thank you for having me, and I need to shoot. God bless my brother.
Yeah. Hey guys, real quick, thanks to Usman for that. You know, I see Reese in the comments. Reese would have been a good one to get on for today's show as well. You know, let me finish up with this. Give me a few minutes to finish up. I want to do the stream on, again, if you were here at the beginning, you heard me lay out how we've done things since Ollie has been here. And I wanted to talk about, you know, whether Ollie is in danger basically of becoming the worst manager since Sir Alex instead of the best. And so, you know, I will, I want to do that in just a minute, Reese. Let me, I'm going to send a link here in just a minute for Reese to jump in, just because I want to get a different opinion, because I know Reese is really, really fair and balanced when he approaches things, and he doesn't approach things outside of the old firm with just lunacy. Of course, he's allowed to be that way when it comes to that one. But let me just say this. Ollie is in danger of becoming the worst manager we've had since United if he leaves this thing toxic, because the best thing that people have always said Ollie has done is he got rid of the toxicity of Jose Mourinho, but it's quickly becoming toxic. The fan base has been toxic. People can't have decent conversations anymore. We're too busy talking about who's a better fan than someone else, and all this kind of nonsense. What makes someone a top fan? What makes someone not a top fan? That was always really, really something that, quite frankly, just annoyed me. So let me real quick. I want to shoot my guy Reese. Make sure we got this. Sorry, guys. Got to find a good way to do this here. So I'm sorry. I'm still learning all this, getting people on your stuff, and getting people on your stream. So I'm gonna shoot Reese a invite here over there on the Crazy Bird app where people like to fight all the time. There we go. But guys, listen, Ollie has been a good servant of the club. We all loved what he did and who he was as a player. I hate this idea that Ollie won us something in '99. Ollie did not win it, right? Solskjaer has won it, right? As if, okay, if it wasn't for the team, we wouldn't have been in a final. If it wasn't for David Beckham that put in both crosses to go up 2-1. So this idea that, yes, Ollie put his foot out and finished the goal. It was one of the most legendary, iconic goals, if not the legendary, iconic goal of the club. But this idea that Ollie literally won us the thing, like he's the only reason we won the Champions League final in '99 as well. I always find that argument kind of hilarious. But for me, I feel like he's in danger of becoming not the, one of the worst managers since Sir Alex in this respect, because we haven't won anything. And his rebuild is in danger of being completely torn apart. His rebuild is really in danger of, if all these players leave, some of whom he's brought in, for example, Donny van de Beek, we know Pogba's out the door. But if Van de Beek leaves and you have Matic is getting older, maybe he's gone. If Cavani's out the door, if Anthony Martial follows him out the door, we could be in a royal mess. So for me, one of the best things all he's done since he's come in, besides steadying the ship, so to speak, and removing the toxicity, is removing deadwood and rebuilding the squad. But what if the squad ends up falling apart? So I don't like the fact that I feel the club is really hanging him out to dry. I don't believe that. I believe tactically, like I've said, I've outlined in this video how our position even this year is not indicative of how we played. We've literally played well all for 4 halves of the whole season. I've laid that out. We've played bad. Results have went our way many times at the end of the game. Cristiano's rescued points for us multiple times. You have Jesse Lingard against West Ham. You have different things that's happened. The game against Wolves, you cannot tell me we did. First off, we didn't deserve a point against Southampton. We didn't deserve 3 against Wolves. So our results have been quite fortunate. And then all of a sudden the slapping has begun. Even our place in the Champions League, let's be honest, should we be top of the group with how we played? No way at all. But we'll take it because we want to be there. But I feel like if something isn't done, obviously David Moyes is the worst because, one, he didn't even get a long run. He was just terrible. So obviously for me, I'm never going to say Ollie is worse than Moyes. But if this thing keeps going the way it's going, then I am not going to say that I've enjoyed Ollie. Okay, I maybe have enjoyed it more than Van Gaal. But if success is winning, we haven't really done it. So anyway, real quick for the last few minutes, let me bring in my guy all the way from Scotland. We all know the madman himself sitting there. It looks like he's got himself a gamer sweatshirt covering his amazing kilt that he won't let you see. Reese, how you doing, my friend?
I'm all right, thanks. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
I'm in the one place that people on Twitter tell women to go. So you can guess where I am.
Oh, in the kitchen, huh?
Yeah, I'm doing the cleaning up. But I thought I'd jump on and say hello since it's a good conversation to have.
See you. Yeah, I was just curious. What are your thoughts on just how you view Ollie's overall tenure? Do you feel like he's been the best manager? Do you feel like I feel like he's in danger of becoming the worst, but I just want to hear people's thoughts about this. How do you feel about Ollie now that it seems to be coming to an end?
I think when you need to admit, I think when you look at who has been the best manager overall, I think what you need to do is you need to look at it not objectively, but you have to look at it subjectively. Because if you look at it objectively, you're going to think purely on maybe looks at sentiment. And I understand sentiment isn't always a bad thing, but I think people use sentiment a bit too much. And that's why I try to avoid the in and out conversations, because people take sentiment into it and they take it a bit too far. I look to avoid that. I look at things objectively. And I think if you're going to do it in that manner, I think it's okay, because in terms of what he's achieved, I think in terms of what Manchester United represents, in terms of wants to play good football, build a. It's because I'm in my living room. If you want to build a club the right way, I think in terms of that aspect, I would say he is the best for that. But I think if you want to actually build something that leads to success, in all fairness, he isn't the best at it. In terms of actual success, the best manager since Sir Alex Ferguson was Jose Mourinho. In terms of overall success, in terms of abiding by what this club means, then you could say probably the best was, as a whole, maybe Van Gaal. Because
Bro, I said the same thing when you talk about youth and wanting to do things a certain way. I feel like when it comes to the youth aspect, right? If that's really a part of our DNA, which I hate the idea of this United DNA as if Fergie had United DNA. No, the United way I buy into, right? Attacking, playing youth, giving people a chance. But I'm telling you, Reese, in my opinion, again, I don't even say it's a slight Ollie, because people take too much stuff personal, because like you said, it's sentiment for people, right? And when their feelings are in it, you just can't talk to people. That's the problem with politics, right? When people are heavily involved in politics, their feelings are involved in one side or the other, so rationality goes all the way out the door. But when it comes to this thing, like Ollie hasn't even brought through youth, so to speak. He's given a lot of debuts, but that's not bringing through youth. And for development, and I mean this with all due respect, because I love the player. Mason Greenwood is the same player I saw 2 seasons ago. He's the same kid that Jose was bringing through. Everyone was going to bring through Mason. You got Marcus, to me, has not improved. He's the same player. He's pace and power, get in behind and snatch at it. I love Marcus, but I haven't seen this improvement people talk about. You know, let's think about who has Ollie really tried to bring through. For me, only one person, Brandon Williams. I mean, really tried to bring him through, and he just wasn't good enough.
Really tried. I think if he had not had injury problems in the youth academy, it wouldn't have been Brandon Williams. It would have been Ethan Laird. If it hadn't been for Ethan Laird not being able to prove his fitness, he would have been the main one. That's why he's on loan at the minute, and he's doing really well.
In my opinion, what I've seen, if he's, especially going forward, it's not even a debate.
I think it's the right choice. I think the other players, obviously, he wants to bring through Shaw Shorter, he wants to bring through Hannibal. Good players, they're not there yet.
Already.
I think the one thing he's missing out, and this is funny, is he wants to play a 4-3-3. He wants to do it in that manner, or he wants to do the classic play 2 midfielders and have a balance in midfield. And he's got the player in terms of like Matic, for example, but there's another good youth academy players in terms of there's Galbraith and there's Garner. Why not bring them through? Not necessarily have to play them in every game. But why not bring them through and go, rather than send you on loan, I'm going to force you to work with Nemanja Matic. Every week, you're going to train with the team, but when it comes to learning this midfield position, you're going to learn with Nemanja Matic, because he's our only defensive midfielder. So if you want to have that sort of number 6 type player, you need to put them with the current rather than just forcing them to play with the team. It's great to work as a team, but at some point you have to look at, all right, we need specialist positions. You need to actually have the specialists work together.
Ollie said those are just numbers. He said they're 10. What do you say? 10, 6, 8. I just want people that are winners in my team. And get out of here, bro. This is not 1995. I know, because I was alive. I was playing ball in 1995. I know the mentality. But like when I see what Playboy Yoshi, which is kind of funny name. I just hope that you don't play Yoshi in Smash Brothers, because
he gets beat so easily.
We ain't about that life.
I stick to Link.
The way I see it is, the DNA idea, right? I don't buy into that as much, because, like I said, I think that if anything, people threw a big fit about some YouTubers and people on football Twitter saying that Fergie needs to kind of stay in his lane. And I didn't like how some of them presented that. But I think if they're saying it like we need to move on from the past, let Fergie retire. He's the GOAT, right? He's the
Hands
GOAT. I'm
down.
not hearing any discussions. He's the greatest. But the world's changed, the game has changed, and people act as if Fergie said anything that Jesus himself said it. When at the bottom line, if you remember, Fergie brought in who, Overton to replace Ronaldo. So the man was not completely infallible. We just love him, and he's the greatest of all time. At the end of the day, when I say United Way, what I mean is when I think of United, the United Way was always, we would play defensive as well, but we were an exciting team. We are an attacking team. We believe in youth. That's the United Way, and not just that. We are winners, right? Fergie time.
Yeah.
We're going to win. That's what it's this idea, and this is my big thing with Ollie Reese, that people say he has the United mentality. He does not. All last season, we played so many games not to lose. You don't win a league playing not to lose. This is an American quote from an American NFL coach. He said, "You play to win the game," right? This is what he said. At the end of the day, we play to win because we're a big club. If anything, other clubs come hoping to draw with us. We don't grow, again, there's outliers. This is context, right? There's a time you go away in Europe and you set up playing for a draw, right? There's times that you can do these things. But to consistently, what was it, 9 0-0s last season? 9. If you set up to win all of those games, right? And I know that apparently going unbeaten away is a trophy that we got somewhere, but whatever. But if you win 4 and lose 5, you still own more points. If you win 5, you're in good shape. If you win 6 and lose 3, you're in a title race. Right? It's a mentality issue. And this is what people don't get. They take it personal. You just don't like the manager. You're just trying to be controversial. No, bro. I wanted Ollie to win everything, but I saw it early on. It's a mentality because, again, I get it. He did not want to lose his job ever. It's his dream job. Would you want to lose it? No. So I get where he was coming from. But my question for you is, like, overviewing everything that's happened to this point. Like you said, if you took emotion out of it, how would you view where we are now? Like, has there been, where, if any place, have we seen real progress? I'm just curious your thoughts.
I think if you want to look at tangible physical evidence of progression, it's the league positions. But in terms of progression anywhere else, it's hard to really pinpoint, because you could ask me what's my interpretation of progression, but then I could ask you, what's your interpretation of progression? Because everyone has their own crystal clear view on it. For me, progression is, yes, if we haven't won a trophy, but you see the evidence of actually looking to get towards a trophy by being better as a team, both from off the field, on the field, and from the dugout as well, the 3 key points. If there's that clear progression, then fine. Like, for example, we were miles off top 4 before lockdown. The original before the original COVID lockdown and all that, and now we've had like 5 or 6 since. But the original, we were not going to get in the top 4. We were well out of it.
Bruno.
Exactly. And since then, as a team, he played the right midfield. He played the right attacking shape that he wanted. A little bit too late, but he still done it, and we finished 3rd. The day we played Sheffield United, I called out on Twitter, and after we beat Sheffield United, I was like, "That's us. We're finishing 3rd." And we went on and done it. I was like, just because of the way we played that day, I was like, there's no way we're not finishing 3rd now. In the following season, I was like, the only way this is going to work is either he stays 3rd or he gets top 2. And I said, we're probably going to get 2nd and maybe win a trophy, depending on luck. We got 2nd. But it's still not enough when you can improve in your league position, and that's progression, but there's not as much as progression if you're not actually learning from your mistakes. And unfortunately, the same mistakes were being made, where he was getting taken down by the same weaknesses in his team. And the same weaknesses was couldn't break down a low block defense. And when it got to a main stage game like a final or a semi-final, he was playing players that frankly upsetted the balance of the team that would have won you the game, or not even making changes in a game that would lead to winning. For example, I love Marcus Rashford to death, but in that Europa League final, he was like a ghost. You couldn't see him. You could it was like playing with Casper the Friendly Ghost on the left wing. with all due respect, he should have made the change. He should have brought him off. Instead, he kept him on, thinking because he's got his pace, his energy, and he knows how to finish. I'll keep him on because he scores. I love Rashford. I don't think any real Man United fan like ourselves or that can literally go, no, he's not a bad player. But he has weaknesses to his game that he has to improve on. If he had taken Rashford off, not only is that a bold move that would be respected by the fan base because it's actually shown he's got balls.
He don't do that.
But it's also showing, pretty much. But it's also showing that he is trying to win. And I look at the changes he made in extra time as well that didn't make any sense. When it comes to taking penalties, why would you take Pogba off? I know Pogba was a bit of a hit and a miss in that final as well because Cavani outran him. But Pogba's still going to be an impact in a game. So I would have kept him on for the penalty shootout. And I think as well, the worst thing is he knew David De Gea's record.
Bro,
penalties at the time, and that didn't help. And there's some things a manager should be able to recognise, but he doesn't recognise it.
No.
So progression is the league, great, but in terms of everywhere else where it really matters, it's not progressing. But in terms of who's the best manager, who's the worst manager, I think in terms of what Man United represent, young players trying to play good football, winning trophies. The best all round was Van Gaal. The one that was just a success for trophies was Mourinho. Moyes tried to do it. He was playing the likes of Zaha until we found out he was banging his daughter. He had Yanis. Exactly. He had Januzaj. So he was actually trying to play the young players. He brought in Wilson. Well, actually, no, like Giggs did, but he had him on the bench at least. He was actually going to use him. So he was at least making aware of it. But Ollie's only tried. I think Ollie's tried to just focus more on, I just want to run the club, but I don't exactly have the right people to run it. And I'm thinking you cannot put all of that excuse in the basket. If you want to run the club, you need to have. Can't believe I'm going to actually reference him because he's been a bit of a clown lately with some of his comments. At times, Gary Neville. At times he's been a bit of a clown, but he still speaks a little bit of sense. I referenced what he said under Mourinho a couple of years ago. If Man United want to progress, they need the best in class for everything. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to be the Sir Alex
coach,
exactly. If Sir Alex Ferguson is what Ole wants to be, he wants to run the club in that way where he has full control of everything. Sir Alex Ferguson had the best in class from scouts, coaching, medical experts, data analysts before it became a major big thing. Now it was still slightly a thing back then, just not as much. He had the best in class. Solskjaer doesn't have that, and he won't recognise it, and that's what's going to make it worse on him. I won't look at it from, oh, he's great and all this, and it's Ole in, Ole out. I'm not going to look at that. I think we need a change, but the difference is I'm going to look at it from straight down the middle, as I've always done, based on the job. I think we do need a change. I disagree with all the stupid abuse that's going on right now, like on Twitter and social media. There's no need for that. You can have an opinion without having to take it to the extreme.
Yeah.
But I do insist that if United do want to progress on all accounts, they need to make the right change. The United DNA, I replied to your video the other day. I was in your live chat, and I said my interpretation of the United DNA is promoting young players, winning trophies, but playing exciting football. Not just saying, oh, it's about playing in the past. You can't always play in the past. Sir Alex Ferguson always referred to Sir Matt Busby as his football idol for management. But he took it differently to what Matt Busby did. So Matt Busby, I actually think, and this is no disrespect to Munich, because Munich was an absolute tragedy. If Munich hadn't happened, I don't think Sir Matt Busby would have made the signings like Dennis Law and all that, like the experienced signings from outside. I think he would have just kept promoting young players and just keep refreshing the squad.
Yeah.
But after Munich, he realised he has to change things just a little bit. I think that's the version that, in my opinion, that Sir Alex Ferguson followed. You need to give young players a chance and mould them into a team. But you need experienced players in your team, and it's experience that fits the team you want to build, not just buying players because they've got an amazing reputation in football or they have a great appeal to sell shirts. It's got to be somebody that fits the club you want. Otherwise, you're fucked. That's why clubs get it right. Like Juventus, Bayern Munich, although Juventus right now are fucked. But you look at Juventus of old, they bought players that went into their team straight away that actually fit the mold. Bayern Munich, they would always buy a player that fit the mold. Barcelona, it was always a player that was good on the ball, possession. So why, if you want to run a club, you fit around what the manager is, not just chop and change and get it wrong. It has to fit what you want, and
Yeah.
that's what I think they're trying to do. But I just don't see it enough, and that's where United is going wrong as a whole, is the direction, not just from management, but from board level. What club do you want to run?
Yeah.
Do you want to run a club that's actually going somewhere, that actually will be the same way, or do you want to run a club as, oh, we're going to sack a manager, now we're going to bring in a defensive manager, we need to bring in players that are purely for a defensive system, and now all of a sudden, oh, by the way, we're going to go and play an attacking system.
Yeah.
You have to change up, and I'm like, that's the problem, is there's no direction.
Yeah, no director of football has been the bane of this club for years, and we've been all saying it. I mean, even Ollie in, Ollie out doesn't matter. People can all agree to that, and then say, "Well, we have a technical director." What does that even mean when our technical director is out taking rondos, right? And then you have, he's just another one of the lads. Then you have, Ed, who's a complete disaster, but yet we get all excited because he resigns, but yet he brings in his best mate, who's just basically Ed 2.0. We don't have Van Gaal said it correctly. He said, Bayern, they are a club. United is a business, and that's kind of where I think, and I felt for Ole in that respect, because I feel like the job was always too big for him, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for what, so we do have these comments as well as, I get the sentiment. He says, I hate this dude now. He's a liar. He's a puppet, clown. Get him out of my club. I'll take anybody to replace him. And I think that there are people that feel that way, because the truth is, Ole has been a shield to the Glazers. You can't deny it. The fact is, he's been that. And ultimately, he hasn't been good enough. But like you said earlier about Sir Alex, this is another reason why.
I don't like the whole comparison to him. I don't like the comparison to him. I just look at the tangibles.
Even more dumb. I hate that when people put him up beside Klopp and say, and I don't know if you saw this, but Jan Arca Fortov, who's like Ollie's best mate mouthpiece, right? He actually said something today.
The journalist.
Yeah, he said something today where he said that comparing Ollie to Klopp is dumb, and he even called that out. I'm like, wow, okay, so you're actually talking a little bit of sense, because Liverpool fans saw what Klopp was really doing and trying to do, so they're willing to suffer through it. And his CV spoke for itself. Ollie had relegated a club in the Premier League, and he had won the league, with a club that's league, no disrespect, isn't MLS standard. So I wouldn't look at an MLS manager over here in America and say, oh, he needs the Manchester United job. No, the best manager we've had for years didn't do well over there. Granted, he took over a terrible team and going to Swansea the way that he did. But you also have a young American coach now who's amazing. But what's he done? He's went through lower clubs. He's went to Salzburg. Now he's at Leipzig. He's earning his stripes, right? Ole got the job because he was a legend, and it was their off season. And he should have never been appointed. But when I look at it now, I'm like, there's things that he did I'm grateful for. But also, I'm at the point now where I get this sentiment again that Jalal or DJ Alao or however you say it, bro. I don't know.
Dajal, maybe, I don't know.
Halal, man.
I get the comments. I just don't agree with the abuse and the insults. But I do understand where he's coming from. I've said it everywhere I've went. I don't care who's all in or all out. I don't care, because their opinion's valid. I just hate the abuse factor.
Yeah, and I think
the one thing this club got wrong. The other is they had the perfect opportunity to give the director of football job and the manager job to one guy. Both jobs to one guy, Ralph Rangnick. Mm-hmm. They had the perfect chance, because he built the RB Leipzig and the Red Bull network. He was the focal point of all of that.
Yeah. And he wanted the United job, right? I mean, that's what I heard.
He wanted the United director of football job, and he wanted the Man United job all in one. He wanted the manager's job and the director of football job, but they turned him down because of one request. He asked for full control of running the academy. He wanted to play the academy in a German style of football, a high press, look to get on the ball, attacking teams, excite the play, and actually look to dominate with and without the ball. And they turned him down. Mm-hmm. So that says all for me. This is a proper football-minded guy. That says all for me. That's a proper football-minded guy who goes, I've identified a weakness, and I want it to run through the whole of the club. And they went, no, we don't have it. And now Newcastle are considering him as a director of football. Like that's what pissed me off more. We could have had Rangnick and then followed up with like a Nagelsmann, which would have made the perfect sense.
Yeah.
Just exactly like what Leipzig done. That's what we should have done. And that's still as much as I would like Conte to come in because he would wake this board up. And that's another thing, he would get us playing an organised shape of football and good football. What I've always wanted is a Rangnick Nagelsmann follow. That's what I've always wanted. It's just not going to happen. But Nagelsmann's still on the considered list with Ten Hag.
Yeah.
But Nagelsmann was a big miss a couple of years ago with Rangnick. That was a big miss, and that's what they got wrong.
Well, Reese, where can they find you? Where can folks find you at? It's looking.
You can find me just there, Twitter at Devils Rising, and you can also find me a couple of YouTube channels like Rick Sports Channel now and then, Doug's channel, weekly, and you can also find me on the weekly Armchair Sports Talk, which I'm on there at 7:30 tonight. So that's going to be a blast.
Awesome. Well, listen, Reese, thanks for jumping in and sharing, bro. Appreciate you. You're welcome anytime.
Thanks very much, pal.
Guys, I'm about to wrap up. Thanks to Reese. Thanks to Usman. Those just jump in. I want to read this comment here. I get it. I love United from my heart. This It makes me suffer after 3 years. Listen, bro, I'm with you on that because I feel like that. I think the reason people feel the way that you do is because of the fan base, that how toxic it's gotten, where 2 years ago, for example, when I first started, I laid this all out earlier in the video, so I don't want to go back into it again, where I was seeing consistent inconsistencies, the same mistakes, totally making the same mistakes over and over again, the substitution debacles, the not changing a game tactically, little things that make a world-class manager. Reset it perfectly. He said, we could have basically, and we should have the best of everything, quoting Gary Neville. Well, we haven't had that with Ole. And the fact is, people that don't understand that only don't understand that because of their emotional attachment to the player, right? There's this emotional attachment to Ole, which I get and I understand. The problem is that people, especially on the Ole inside, when things went well, both sides could be extremely toxic, but the Ole inside would really play this big, you're not a real fan. You're not as much of a fan as me. And they got toxic. I've been told F off the city. You're fake and plastic anyway. All this kind of stuff that people say. And again, there's people on the Ole outside that got very toxic, more toward the manager, I think, than toward other fans. I'm sure they have, because now there's Ole out fans. It's like if you're still Ole in, you're just delusional. And it becomes very personal. I've tried not to make it personal at all and respect everyone's feelings. But I understand the comment that, listen, I've been suffering because I love this club. I get it. But once you get abused long enough, this is the problem. This is why the Glazers win, because every single person, Ole in, Ole out, Ole shake it all about, everybody was united about getting the Glazers out. Everyone was. Even top Reds that hate guys like Saeed. Saeed organized a protest. People showed up to it. There was big things happening, right? People were coming together because the Glazers are the biggest problem with the club. The lack of direction, the lack of desire to be the best. Reese said it this way: we had an opportunity to bring in somebody who could help restructure the club in a footballing way. Did they want that? No, because it's about desire and it's about control. I actually heard Andy Tate say this. He said it's about control, and it is. It's about them controlling their pocketbooks, their money. And as long as we're going, buying all the merchandise and doing this and doing that, they're getting what they want. When a guy like me is willing to actually, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go to a game this season because my kids want to go to a World Series game here in Houston, and that's going to cost me probably $1,200. It cost me at least $1,200. Actually cost me more than that when I go over to a United game. So I might not get to a game this season because right now, after moving halfway around the country and changing my life and my job and everything, just dropping, $2,500, I do that like once, a year. It's not easy to do that. So, the fact is, but when guys like me spend our money, to support this club, the Glazers are getting what they want. They are. They're getting what they want. But I love the team, not too much. Oh, yeah. Big up, bro. Big up, big up. I see some people have jumped over. Yeah. From Saeed's channel. Every once in a while, he'll do call-ins or different things. I'll jump on. I've done shows with Saeed and other streams. Whether you like his opinion or not, the guy's sincere and loves the club. And he lives right near the stadium and he's embarrassed. Most of his family's City fans. He has to take it all the time. It's the fact that we have a standard that this club should be the top. And I know older fans, listen, I was alive during the 80s, but I wasn't following the team at that time. I was just a little kid, right? And in America, the game has just started growing tremendously over the last few years. I didn't even start following the team until the mid 90s. So I've been here. Call me a glory hunter. The reason there's a couple of reasons I picked Manchester United that people want to know. One, because I actually had heard of them before, knew who they were. And my family, right? Most of my family are Hispanic. So they all follow Madrid or Barca. And I wasn't going to pick them. I was picking an English team. I had heard of United before, right? And when I was looking, I started watching games. I liked how they played. I loved the arrogance. I loved some of the guys on the team, especially Cantona and Roy Keane. Being an American and a guy that was into sports and fairly aggressive, I liked Paul Scholes just being nasty and wanting to kick people. Just how he looked, wanting to play Bikino. What I mean about kicking people, but just the way we played. And the truth is, there was this rivalry at the time. I had a friend who was an Arsenal fan, and I wasn't about to pick his team. And all I kept hearing was United were crap, and so it was really that. But then. My birthday is February the 6th. And when I found out the history of the club and when I found out about Munich, I'm like, well, this was just bound to happen, right? Bound to happen. Jalal, my guy. I knew I was close. I've traveled all over the world, so I try to get names right the best that I can. But, guys, I just I love this club, man. And it hurts me to see where it's at. I don't want to not love Ole, right? But I separate the player from the manager. The player did what he did, but the manager's a different situation. It's a different whole atmosphere altogether. Ultimately, when we think about it, when it comes to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, if I think with my heart, I could say, look, man, Ole is he's made me feel at times maybe, what? He hasn't made me feel the best since Sir Alex. I'm not going to lie. I want to say so because I want to say he's one of the best we've had since Sir Alex. But I am a guy who views things rationally. And I have been, first off, like I said earlier in the video, Ole was not my first choice, right? So I had an agenda early on during Mourinho when I thought Mourinho should have went. I did a whole video. Brendan, one of my guys, it's a friend of mine that comes on our streams a lot. He likes to rib me about a 40-minute video I did about Pochettino because I really thought Pochettino was the guy then. Now it's a little different story, but I didn't want Ole. I thought the Ole replacement was knee-jerk. I thought that it wasn't thought out. I thought it was the easy route to go, and the fans were singing, and the Glazers liked it. But he didn't deserve anything to that point in his CV to get this level of a job. I thought it was too much for him. And then come year two, we saw it. How many times did we think this guy should have been gone because of results? Not because we didn't like him. We saw the defensive football. We saw the not making substitutions. We have seen Ole not make the right decisions with personnel that not even getting a chance. Like, no disrespect, but why would a guy like Dan James get the type of chances he got when a guy like Donnie can't get a chance, right? The last 3 times we've seen Donnie, he's arguably been man of the match. So, I mean, come on. So there's an agenda there. Even if people call, why would Harry Maguire? I was not against getting Harry Maguire by the guy, but why give him the captaincy? All he has done these things that sabotaged his own self. He can't, it's not, at one point, all the fan base was singing this guy's songs. We've all loved him. He has no one to blame but himself. I told on another stream, Rich asked me, what could ever have been done to bring you back to Ole's side? At the end of Europa League final, if Ole would have went out and benched David De Gea and brought in Dean Henderson at the end of the game for the PKs, I would have shut up for a whole year. And I love David De Gea. He's a better keeper than Dean Henderson, in my opinion, but not at saving penalties. And that would have been a huge call by a manager that makes big decisions. And he hasn't done that. That's been the problem. Even his subs over the years, we can call them before they happen, because the one they always happen way too late. But when they happen, they are very rarely, if ever, tactical subs. It's always like for like, and it's usually taking off a player who shouldn't go for the easy sub. It used to be Mason because he was the easy sub, right? Now it's Jaden. He's the easy sub, right? It's annoying. And so that's what's led us to this point, guys, where, listen, we all love our club. We believe it's the best club in the world. You know, I'm not going to slate you. If you're Ollie in, I don't understand how, but I'm cool with that. I'm good with you. If you're Ollie out, I'm good with that. If you're Ollie out, I'm good with that. I don't say you love the club any more or less than I do, right? But we've seen this story for years. So for me, Ollie is in danger now of the board hanging him out to dry, because they should have sacked him immediately after the Liverpool game. Immediately. You don't say you got 3 games to save your job. Why? We've seen this for 3 years. I don't care if he wins every game 5-0. He still should be gone. I don't care. We've seen this, because he'll go on a good run, and then a bad run, then a good run, then a bad run. And the thing is, we still see the same mistakes today that we saw 2 years ago in a semifinal against Man City. We're still coached the same way in a lot of ways. Can't play out the back and still trying to. You want to play out of the back, but you buy Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Please, somebody make it make sense. It does not. And I like Wan-Bissaka. I'm just saying, you know, like Reese was saying, even the personnel we bought a lot of times doesn't make sense. You want to play a certain way and you bring in Ronaldo. Why? We bring in Ronaldo because we want to make a lot of money, and the Glazers have done that. The moment they signed Cristiano Ronaldo, their stock prices went up. They made $225 million by their stock price jumping 8 points. Now, again, they went out and sold a lot of that to recoup it themselves. They made that money and took it and pocketed it. A couple of the Glazers did. We saw that. But even in Ronaldo's shirt sales, they made almost $40 million. Literally, if they paid Ronaldo $25 million a year, which I don't know they're paying him that much, but let's say they are, $50 million over 2 seasons, 30 to buy him, $80 million. They're still going to make 200 plus off of him. This is how our club is run. This is how it's run. There's no ambition to win. Why would you keep this guy in a job this long when Burnley before lockdown was all you needed to see? Like I said, we've seen it over and over and over. And there's only so much. Now, let me get some of your comments real quick. Yes, my guys, what's going on? Good to see you. You know, there have been red flags. Good to see you, Doran. Thanks for jumping in. Tragic TV. I'm going to check and see if that's actually a channel. If it is, I'm going to subscribe to that, my guy. Good to see you. Let's get me to 100 subs. I'm just starting, bro. I'm just starting to stream again. I haven't really been on the YouTube. Seemed like I need to be. But guys, listen, we all love this club. We want what's best for this club. As to the discussion today, let me ask you that are still in the comments, do you feel, real quick, put this in the comments, do you feel that Ollie is the best manager that we've had since Sir Alex? And if not, who do you think is? And if you don't think he is, do you think he's in danger of becoming the worst? Because at the end of the day, we haven't won anything, and we're not going to win anything with Ollie as a manager. So what are your opinions? What are your thoughts? That's what I'm here for. For me, you know, it pains me to say anybody is worse than David Moyes, so I don't want to go that route. But I'll say this, I'm hurt more now than I ever was under Moyes. But you might say, well, Moyes just didn't have enough time to hurt you. Maybe that's true. But this whole Ollie thing it's been a slow burn, you know, and for people that's felt that Ollie's not the guy, you're getting abuse if you even speak it. You know, we were. Now there's like 90% of the fan base that even if they won't say Ollie out, they know he's not the guy and the blinders have come off. But, you know, a part of me is like, look, man, 3 games to save his job, it would be just like our team to win 3 matches. And one reason is there's a lot of guys in that team that there's a few that aren't United quality, definitely as starters. And there's a few that they'll go to fight like hell to save that guy's job, because the next guy comes in, they're not going to be doing what they're doing now. and they know this. So it wouldn't be surprised if we won. It wouldn't be so shocking. It would not shock me if this guy could win 5 or 6 on the bounce. It doesn't matter. We're not winning the league. And if we cannot even get it right in the Europa, can you imagine if we didn't get those 2 lucky wins that we've got in the Champions League, we'd be sitting bottom of the group. We have literally smashed and grabbed 2 wins. Don't lie to yourself. Don't look at the position and lie to yourself. We lost to Young Boys. Jokes at some stadium called like Wankendorf. You don't want to lose to Young Boys in a wanking stadium. I mean, I'm just going to leave that there. That's terrible. Lose there, debacle. Like I said, last year we lost to Istanbul Başakşehir, and they got relegated from their league. Real talk. Come on, guys. This our standards. If you think that's okay, your standards are in the mud. If you can let the Scousers come and slap you off the pitch, laugh, their fans are laughing. And like I said earlier, it's the fact that these guys could have destroyed us more, and they held up. That's taken the mick. They literally played with us on our pitch for 30 minutes, and you think that's okay. It's just not. It's not. Young Boys at the Wanker Stadium, show enough. Young Boys. What's this say? What we got here? When you see spending in the time you got back 0 trophies. Yeah. I mean, I could see the argument. I've made the argument. All the money spent, we've spent over $400 million in 0 trophies. And it's not just the fact, like Reese was saying, it's the fact that we haven't seen progression in our style of play in the squad and in the decision-making within the managerial setup. Like, we don't make tactical changes. You can say what you want. I know, for example, I know people put a lot of comparisons that Poch is just a little better Ollie. But I'll tell you one thing I watched Poch do this season. There ain't no way in the world Ollie's doing is I watched him bench Messi at the end of the game. They needed a goal and they got it. That ain't never happening with Ollie. And that's a different mentality. And that's the only thing with Ollie. I think the thing that makes me mad about Ollie, guys, is that he showed us in his interim run what he could do. And I think that Ollie, if he would have not found himself so loyal to inexperienced coaches, and you say, well, Mike Phelan's not inexperienced. Well, Mike Phelan's not the one taking training or anything, is he? And also, Mike Phelan, I've heard people say way before this, was arguably Sir Alex Ferguson's worst assistant. Leave that as it may. The fact is, if he would have changed to better coaches, then who knows what he could have done. Because Ollie's shown us when he's an interim that he could let the guys go, play free-flowing football, and win. He showed us after lockdown when Bruno came in that he could play a certain style and let us win. It's not that he didn't show us glimpses, and that's the frustrating part. As soon as things would get tough or get iffy, he always reverted back to form. That's why I'm going to tell you this for free. I don't try to be overly vocal, and I definitely don't want to be nasty, but if I see Donnie Van de Beek this weekend, I am going to lose my head. Bro, I don't want to see Van de Beek. I don't want to see Alex Telles. I don't want to see Eric Bailly. I don't want to see any player who we all know should have gotten some playing time, should be playing for people that are injured, I don't want to see none of that. Bro, don't try it. Don't you dare. Now that you're at the end, want to go ahead and give people chances who, if you've been playing all along, rotating effectively, you'd still be in a job and we'd be winning. Don't try it now. Do not. That shows weak management. It was weak enough that Ollie got up in front of the media last week and had to set them straight over Marcus. That was weak sauce. For me, that was weak sauce. Don't do that, bro. Because the fact is, you said what you said. You could say it was taken out of context. Don't get up and that alone, if you can't see that shows the player power, we are just as bad as PSG. We are. I mean, PSG, Neymar runs the show. He does what he wants. Neymar goes and chills with his sister's birthday party, allegedly, if that's a birthday, whatever he's doing, right? Neymar plays when he wants. Last season, Neymar played like not even 40% of the games or something ridiculous, and he's like their best player. Come on, man. It's a joke. And that's just how, and don't get me wrong, I love Neymar. He's an amazing player when he plays. But, that's how we are. I love Marcus Rashford. He's one of my favorite professional players. What he's done off the pitch is amazing. He has huge flaws on the pitch. Love the guy. But let's be honest. Why does Ollie have to get up and apologize like that? Because he's afraid he done rattled the boat. and the big time players are about to be mad. I've seen this stuff, man, and it's annoying. Anyway, let's see some of these comments real quick. We're not getting into that this show. We're not. I see what you're doing here. Who would I take? A lot of people. A lot of people I would take. However, depends on the circumstances. But I would have to give the reasons for each, and we'll be here all day. But people said Conte. Would I take Conte? Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of great things about Conte. The comparison of Conte to saying he's Jose 2.0, I think that's a little bit unfair. I think you really expose yourself a little bit when it comes to it. I just don't see how Conte fits the Glazers at all. Just because Conte he'll burn character to the ground. He wants what he wants. He wants to win. Conte is a winner, and that's all he cares about is winning. He don't care about nothing else. I just don't see how that fits with the Glazers because he will throw a fit. Conte don't play, bro. So I just don't see how the Glazers could go with him. A Ten Hag, would he want the job? Could we get him? It will be at the end of the season. My sneaky suspicion, United way, is that that they're doing this. They want to put an interim in and wait for Poch because that's just what they've wanted all along. Sir Alex has wanted him. Ed's kind of wanted him. And when they should have hired him last season, they didn't. So now he's tainted with the PSG mess. I don't care what they win over there. I don't think there's any way PSG wins the Champions League, by the way. I don't care. I just don't. Their team is it's not balanced. And to be honest with you, Sergio Ramos has even played yet? I don't think so. Verratti, who is a amazing footballer, he's just bound to be hurt. Di Maria is a snake. We ain't worried about him. Ander Herrera is allegedly out here running with the Night's Watch, so to speak. We got Kimpembe. If you're depending on Kimpembe to be your center back to lead you to the Champions League final, sorry, bro. That guy sucks. Suspect. Period. Real quick. So Jalal says that he does not think that he thinks Ollie might be the worst. For him, he's the worst. What do you guys think? Reese has said that he, as far as what he feels success, Van Gaal and Mourinho definitely more successful. And again, Conte's a serial winner. He's not a yes man. And, that's the danger of, people know I love Poch, but that's the danger of Poch. The danger of Poch is that if he doesn't win anything big this year, he comes in as until he wins something at United, he'll have to be a yes man because that's how he had to deal with Levy. It was yes man, yes man, yes man until he started winning, and then he started putting his chest out, talking about I'm not the manager, I'm just a coach, and talking about they haven't backed me right. And Levy was like, bye, and that's just so. I don't know. Obviously, Nagelsmann is everyone's kind of football wet dream, so to speak. Lord forgive me for going that direction, but that's just how it rolls. That's who everyone wants. They want Nagelsmann. I would love Nagelsmann, but are we getting anyone out of Bayern? No. Ten Hag is gettable. Conte is a winner. I would take Conte absolutely. You have Rose, you have Ragnick, you have Enrique, you have all kinds of people that could come in. But again, are they going to want control? Who's going to be DOF? Who's going to do this thing right? If you just gave me anything I want, I would take, if you get the Ajax setup and try to hire the right people. I felt like we should have brought in Paul Mitchell. But again, it's all about control with the Glazers. So, guys, this has been Sean from What White Red Show. I know we went way later than I expected. Thank you for joining in. If you're not already subscribed, hit the like and subscribe button. Jump in. Just make sure you hit that notification bell. That way, anytime I'm live, you can jump in. Because, normally what I've been doing, because I'm so busy and I coach, my kids play at a pretty high level, we're busy. A lot of times I like to just shoot videos and upload them, but I want to start doing more lives now that my studio is coming together. And so I'd love for you guys to join in. If any of you would like to jump on a stream, jump on a show, and have your voice heard, love to do that. Everyone from all around the world is welcome. My vision from originally starting this show was actually to give a voice to everybody, no matter where you're from, because the majority of the major big YouTubers that cover United, to be honest with you, the biggest channels that get the most play, they're English based. It just is what it is. And I'm not that there's anything wrong with that. But like I look at the big channels, the United Stand. Do they have any real? Do they have anybody that really represents anyone outside of England on their channel? No. I mean, I used to call in the United Stand back in the day, but they don't have anyone. You have does the football terrorist? I don't know if Terry does. Terry, shout out to you if you need someone with a different accent. I got you, bro. I don't know. Do we have many people being represented on other channels? The American fan base is huge. We have a South American fan base. You have the African fan base is huge. The Indian fan base is huge, which, by the way, India is my people, bro. I mean, listen, ain't nothing better right now than some nice, hot, fresh, homemade. I make it myself, by the way. Garlic naan with the hero masala, the nice green, spicy green masala, that green curry. All y'all stuck on that red stuff and that orange stuff. You don't know the real deal, baby. The real deal is the green. Man. Give me the green. We have a huge fan base in India, Indonesia, China, all over the world. We are the reason, the worldwide Reds, we're the reason that our club is the biggest club in the world. It's not, not to be rude, because United, we love the local fans, the local fan base, but the reason they can brag their club's the biggest in the world is because of us. So ultimately, we're I didn't know. I'm not sure. I haven't seen, but I started this channel because I wanted fan representation from everywhere. Obviously, the guys that came on today are my friends, and they're both United Kingdom based. I get it, but listen, if you're a Yank, if you're from India, if you're from Indonesia, if you're from China, if you're from Japan, if you're from a Latin American country, say habla español, we can do whatever. We're just grateful to have Reds from all around the world that love this club. Again, Ole has been a great servant of the club as a player. As a manager, I think some of his achievements are a little overstated. So for me, if I had to rank managers since Sir Alex, I would put him third. For me, Jose was the most successful. Jose left things very toxic, but I believe Jose did that because he was. The problem with Jose is Ed gave him Pogba and he didn't want Pogba, so he never played Pogba correctly. And Pogba was a bigger star than Jose, so Jose has to be the top star or he can't handle himself. So they were constant. It just never worked out. I think if that clown Antoine Griezmann wouldn't have bottled it and wouldn't have stayed loyal to his club, and he would have came after our Europa League final win, I think we would have a different conversation about Jose. I really think that the Griezmann not coming really messed up because Jose just spit his dummy out. He started showing off. I remember when he was touring over here in the States, how the interviews he was giving was a joke. So, then Van Gaal really tried to bring the youth through. He really did. I mean, he was playing like Tyler Blackett and these guys, and he won something. So can I put Ollie's tenure above his? I personally can't, but again, Moyes was Moyes. So anyway, yeah. Oh, thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah. A lot of people don't know this. I mean, I don't know Rance personally at all. I've never done a stream with him or anything, but one of the reasons I'm doing a channel is because when he was on the United Stand, when he left, he released a video and he made a comment about people who support everyone else's channels but just won't do their own. And I was like, well, shoot, I'll take that challenge. And I started my own. And so he's one of the reasons. I mean, there's things about that Rance says I think is amazing. There's things I think he's chatting utter rubbish. And I would love to be on Rance channel because I'd love to argue with him about some things. But, overall, the thing I really respect about guys like Rance and Saeed is that they have their convictions. And whether I agree with those convictions or not, they stick by it. And I got time for that. And that's how I am. You don't have to agree with me to be on my channel. I don't need that. It's just, I'm going to respect you. And, if you don't respect others when they're talking, then, I shut it down. It is what it is. But anyway, guys, thanks for joining in. No matter where you're watching all over the world, thank you so much. Matter of fact, real quick, if you would, in the comments, just let me know where you're watching from. And I just want to give you a shout out again. Thanks everyone that's jumped in. And I got some fellow Americans in here. I know I got some folks in the UK. Don't know where you're watching from. But guys, listen, is Ollie the best or worst? I don't know if it's that simple, but I believe for a lot of people, he is becoming, yeah. He said, I don't see why people like Rance. He seems like he's bitter. Maybe sometimes. I think that sometimes it's I don't know how much of that. His name is Rance, right? That's Rance and Bance. So for me, the clue is in the name. I think sometimes some people do things for effect because they're trying to get. I got friends from all over, and I've got friends that are like, I believe, very similar to a guy like Rance. And I think that sometimes people they do what they do because they're trying to get a rise out of you. And I believe that. Yeah, Lancashire, UK in the building, and America watching all the way from Morocco. Man, that's awesome, bro. That's awesome. I'm glad that you jumped in, my fellow American, and let me know on one of your streams. If you'd ever be interested in me, I'm going to do a couple streams about the national team as well because they tick me off sometimes. But we have an amazing crop of young players coming through this U.S. national team. Not that it matters to any of you guys that aren't American, obviously, but man, it's always been our women that always win everything. But we have some great young players in Europe, and I'm hoping that our national team can actually do something decent in this 2026 World Cup that will be here on home soil. But anyway, guys, listen, let me know how you guys feel. If you don't know where to find me, you can find me right here on this channel. Thanks for liking and subscribing, getting involved. Or you can go at WWReds_show in the crazy world of football Twitter. That's me, right? I don't have anybody else running my stuff. That is me chatting utter rubbish. And here's the other thing. I follow back every single person. And I don't follow you back just to unfollow you later. That's just how I roll. I follow. Anyway, guys, yeah, Reyna is a quality player. Absolutely. Adams in the making. Tyler Adams, listen, he makes the team run. If Tyler Adams is playing in midfield, then United got United on my mind. The USA can play with anybody when he's in the midfield because we need that engine. When we got him and Weston McKennie. And when Weston McKennie is at it, I know he's had starting last year at Juventus. This year he's having a little bit of a setback. But you have him, Weston McKennie, but Tyler Adams is who makes it go, man. We're such a different team with him. When Tyler Adams is playing, it reminds me of an American team, which plays hard, will kick people and go crazy. When he's not playing, I don't know. You got CP10, Christian Pulisic. If somebody over in England would do me a favor and put him on some kind of machine to fix his rubber band hamstrings, that will be amazing, by the way. It would actually be good for Chelsea also. Because when Pulisic isn't hurt, he is class. But ever since started in Germany, but especially in England, ever since those hamstrings went, he's really, really struggled. Then we have players. You got Serginho Dest, who is playing over in Barcelona. His parents are expats. He could have played at Holland or the U.S. We just got a lot of good players. We have some good young players, which is crazy to see because a lot of people don't know this, but the American national team, the U.S. national team, there's kind of this weird requirement that we have to involve MLS players, and it creates a kind of issue, but that's changing. But anyway, guys, I'm rambling now. I've been going way too long. Thanks you guys for joining in. It's a Yank you love the love or don't love. Again, let me know your thoughts on Ole. Get in the comments below, and hopefully we'll see a change soon, and it will end peacefully because I'm telling you, if the only team that I'm confident will beat is Spurs, and we're playing them in the middle of this 3 games to save your job. Oh, guys, hopefully we get back to the top soon. Right now, it's looking sketchy. Anyway, until next time, guys, I'm out.